It's here. Among the coral reef, a father and son forged a friendship.
That's me diving
For Scott McKimmey,
on a coral reef in Cozumel, Mexico.
it's this sort of moment a parent holds on to
We were very close. We did a lot.
when their child
He was funny. He was loud. He would give a stranger the shirt off his back.
is not around.
And when he died, part of me died with him.
Brian McKimmey was working on a job site in Baltimore City.
My son was on the back porch putting aluminum trim around a sliding glass door. These two guys start shooting at the house. The owner of the house is in the house shooting back.
Brian had nowhere to hide.
My son's hit 3 times and died right on that porch.
9 days after Brian's murder, Baltimore police posted this picture on Facebook of a bag, bullets, and a Glock. The caption read, 26-year-old man arrested with loaded handgun.
There's something very wrong here.
That gun killed Brian.
I want to hear him say, you know what, we charged somebody. We locked somebody up and charged him with the murder of your son.
But no one has been charged with Brian's murder, and it's been more than a year.
Brian was number 180 of 2018. I'll never forget that number.
There's a lot about his son's case Scott won't forget, like the man police arrested with the murder weapon, David Warren. 9 days after Brian's murder, officers pulled Warren over. In front of the passenger seat was a blue bag. Inside it was the Glock that killed Brian. Police arrested Warren for illegal possession of a firearm, but not for murder.
You arrived at the courthouse thinking what?
Even though the case that day wasn't involving, had nothing to do with my son's murder, I still wanted, number one, to see this guy. I wanted to look him in the eye.
I pull up, I hop out, I put this to test. I'm going for headshots.
David Warren has quite a reputation
If I want you dead, they might as well race you off the map.
as a repeat violent offender.
I beat 10 charges. Yeah, I'm a rat.
It's a reputation he raps about in the lyrics of his music videos posted online.
I find this so funny. Blow his brains out, have him stretched out like a dummy.
David Warren is someone to me who's an absolute predator.
During Kevin Davis's time as Baltimore's police commissioner, he held a news conference calling David Warren a hitman for hire.
David Warren is a member of the 10 Grand Club in Baltimore. It's a club of people who consider themselves hitmen for hire.
Warren was wanted for shooting 5 people at a Memorial Day cookout. On all 5 attempted murder charges, Warren was found not guilty.
David Warren was already notorious by the time that I had heard about him. And I had heard about David Warren from frustrated homicide detectives.
Detectives who watched city prosecutors drop case after case against Warren.
The first time David Warren was charged with attempted murder, he was 14 years old. Since then, he's been charged not once or even twice. David Warren has been charged with attempted murder a total of 9 times. And that's just for attempted murder. Warren's rap sheet is 92 pages long.
The city failed.
We reviewed recordings from Warren's court proceedings and found in at least 3 attempted murder cases, prosecutors dropped charges because witnesses failed to appear in court.
It's no wonder that people are afraid and intimidated about coming forward. That's just a human reaction to a dysfunctional criminal justice system.
Out of Warren's 15 criminal cases in Baltimore City, prosecutors dropped charges in 11 of them. The last one was for the illegal possession of the gun that killed Brian, the Glock. Officers found on the car floor. Officers did not find fingerprints on the gun.
So what type of message do you think this sends to the criminal?
If you want to kill somebody, do it in Baltimore City and you'll probably get away with it. My son was a good kid who was just working, hanging aluminum siding, and 2 thugs come to kill the owner of the house, who my son didn't even know. He was just hired to do work on it. And talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It hurts.
When Scott McKimmey found out that police had recovered the murder weapon in his son's killing and had someone in custody, Scott thought his son Brian's killer had been caught.
Ballistics test proved he had the gun that killed my son. He was arrested while driving the same make, model, color car seen leaving the scene.
This is the man police arrested. His name is David Warren. And this is the bag, bullets, and Glock police found in the car with him.
This guy was connected in my son's murder in some way, shape, or form.
As we told you last week, David Warren is considered a repeat violent offender.
Warren's rap sheet is 92 pages long.
I said, okay, well, what's the next move? You're going to charge him? Oh, we can't do that. I was like, really?
He was charged with firearms.
I think maybe possession of a firearm and convicted felon in possession of a firearm. And city prosecutor Linda Ramirez dropped those charges.
Out of the 15 cases the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office charged Warren in, we found they dropped charges in all but 4.
If they'd have put him away back then, maybe he wouldn't have been on the street that day.
But Warren did remain on the street. And on June 27, 2018, police say he was in Baltimore County at this apartment complex.
This call will be recorded and monitored.
Also on June 27th,
This is a Global Tel-Link prepaid call from
on one end of the
an
line,
inmate at a Maryland Correctional Facility.
on the other is a friend of the inmate.
Hey, yo, I need you to text your phone, yo.
And that friend lives here.
Hold on, I'll wait outside real quick.
We've chosen not to identify either of the men because of what this jail call captured.
My dude is just Tuesday, that's why.
Those shots are coming from the Glock.
Hello?
The same Glock used in Brian McKimmy's murder.
What was that?
Baltimore County 911.
Hey, yo, I need an ambulance on Glen Mike Wayne.
I heard some gunshots.
There were just gunshots. It's a boy out in front of my building. He laid out.
It's a black male with a white shirt laying on the ground.
911 callers
It had to be at least 5 gunshots.
It was like about 10 shots fired.
They
described
got him from behind, yo. They got him in the back.
seeing a blue car drive away.
All you hear is a car skirting
I
off.
just saw a blue Honda Civic pull out of the parking
A
lot.
blue Honda that officers would later tie to David
The
Warren.
gun that they put him near during his arrest in the city was matched to the bullets that were in fact taken from the victim in our shooting out here. And so it played a very crucial role.
Warren is now in prison. An attorney with Baltimore County State's Attorney Scott Schellenberger's office put him there.
We were happy to finally convict David Warren.
Warren was charged with attempted murder in the jail call shooting. He pleaded guilty to a lesser charge last month.
We were able to get a guilty plea on a first-degree assault and use of a handgun in a crime of violence. He received a 20-year sentence.
Schellenberger expects Warren to serve less than half that time.
We believe he'll probably serve 6 to 7 years in jail.
Prosecutors faced challenges. Schellenberger says the victim was reluctant to cooperate, and police did not find Warren's DNA or fingerprints on the gun.
Just looking at the history of this individual, you know, he skated so many times. And so you want to get that something.
When Warren does get out, he'll be on supervised probation for 3 years.
We have an additional, 10 years that are hanging over his head. And if he does anything wrong, we can go to a judge and say, give him the other 10 years.
The man who had eluded prosecution 11 times in Baltimore City now faced a prison sentence for a crime he committed in Baltimore County.
As of right now, do you consider your son's murder solved or unsolved?
Unsolved. Unsolved. No one's been charged with his murder. No one's been to court. Yet they tell me, oh, we got the gun that killed your son. That's a little urn.
As Scott McKimmy waits for justice.
And I'm just placing his ashes on a coral reef in Cozumel, Mexico.
He finds comfort in something he and Brian enjoyed doing together.
That was my first dive since his death. And I just felt the need to take a little bit of Brian with me and leave him down there underwater.
As Scott lets go of a piece of Brian,
Towing him by.
he holds on to hope that one day his son's killer is caught.
Brian's last dive.
Yo, I need you to text your phone, yo.
Hold on, I'm gonna go outside real quick.
I thought this is Tuesday, that's why. Hello? What was that?
Baltimore County 911.
Hey, yo, I need an ambulance on Glen Michael Wayne.
I heard some gunshots.
There was just gunshots. It's a boy out in front of my building. He's laid out.
It's a black male with a white shirt laying on the ground.
What you just heard is a 35-year-old man getting shot outside his Randallstown apartment. We're not identifying the man for his own safety. 7 days before this incident, that 35-year-old man witnessed a murder in Baltimore City. Ballistics tests show whoever pulled the trigger was using the same gun, a .40 caliber Glock, like this one.
That gun just doesn't disappear after a crime, and then multiple people end up using that gun.
In these crimes, the Glock ended up with this man, David Warren. Warren, an accused repeat violent offender who had been arrested for attempted murder 4 separate times in Baltimore City, found not guilty in one case. Prosecutors dropping the charges in the other 3.
The gun that they put him near during his arrest in the city was matched to the bullets that were in fact taken from the victim in our shooting out here.
The Glock became a key piece of evidence in the county's case.
It was everything.
Warren pleaded guilty to charges connected to that county shooting, even though neither his fingerprints nor DNA were on the Glock. In an email, Warren's attorney declined to discuss the case. He explained, "There are still potential post-trial issues in this case," and added, "It would be inappropriate for me to respond at this time." As for the city charges Warren faced, the city state's attorney's office dropped them, citing the county's conviction.
I just don't get it.
Scott McKimmey expected more from prosecutors and police.
As a father to a murdered son, I'm hurt. But as a tax-paying citizen of Maryland, I want to know, what are they going to do to change this?
McKimmey's youngest son, Brian, was among the 309 people murdered in Baltimore City last year.
And when he died, part of me died with him.
No one's been charged in Brian's murder, and his father believes someone should have.
Ballistics test proved he had the gun that killed my son.
He is David Warren, and the gun Scott's referencing is the loaded Glock Warren had in the car. The same gun used in the county shooting. Warren pleaded guilty in.
If David Warren was sitting here at this table, what would you say to him?
I would ask him who killed my son. That's what I want to. I want to know who did it. And he knows who did it. And Baltimore City knows he knows who did it.
The bodies on that Glock include more than McKimmey's. Ballistics tests tie it to casings collected in 2 other homicides. Another 9 people were shot with the Glock and survived. A string of shootings that happened within months of each other. 1 gun, 12 victims, but just 1 conviction.